what is Lamat? What is the practice of Lamatology? The meaning of the divine number 4? How does he relate to Jupiter and Venus? And why does this mysterious force communicate through the legendary Captain Lamat? Many misconceptions surround Lamat, such as believing that he is a god or the Almighty. Lamat is not a god nor a ghost, nor is he an angel or a demon. He is a force. He is the source itself, the grand consciousness of reality. He is the immortal overseer of all life, chaos and order personified. Lamat is the seed of all that is, was, and ever can be. And I have spent the last 11 years studying this mysterious force, the Mayan Lamat hieroglyph, the divine four-directional symbol known as the Lamat star. I have incorporated this star within all avenues of my life, wearing it for my rituals, creating paintings of it, both on canvas and on myself, creating unique clothing especially made to attract the energies of the Lamat star, and most importantly, I've been following the rules it has set out for me. In this video, I will unravel the many layers of who or what is Lamat. To begin, we must first take a look at the word Lamat. There is a Lamat zodiac in the Tzolk'in calendar. It corresponds to Venus, ripe, maize, seed, new beginnings, the direction of south, the color yellow, star, and the animal rabbit. The Mayan hieroglyph known as the Lamat star is a four-directional symbol which is associated with abundance, ripeness, fertility, growth, and spiritual divinity. To understand Lamat, we will need to decipher his complex coding. Lamat is a force, in my opinion, that enjoys riddles. He is an enigma, and the more you attempt to solve him, the more rewards he will bestow upon you. In one of his many forms, Lamat is the physical manifestation of the planet Venus. The Maya civilization believed that Venus was linked strongly with the cycles of life and death, so it appears as the evening star, disappears, and comes back as the morning star. So bright is Venus that it can cast shadows here on Earth. But in his Venus form, Lamat is not able to speak directly with most humans. Lamat communicates with humans via what is known as relatable interaction, meaning he will speak to us via ways we can relate to and easily understand. Just like when you are summoning an entity from a different tradition. If the entity wishes to communicate with you, it will speak your language regardless of its background. But since Lamat is not a spirit, more of a force, he cannot operate in the same way. The video game hero Captain Lamat from ODT Escape or Die Trying is one of the ways it can communicate to us mortals. Captain Lamat is our spiritual guide on this material earthly plane. The Captain is the way shower, the spiritual translator, and he is able to manifest within a humanoid form, so occult practitioners are able to easily converse with him. It is too difficult to talk directly with such a grand being. So why does the Lamat star choose Captain Lamat as its main messenger? The word Lamat means star. Captain Lamat carries with him a golden sextant, a nautical instrument that reads the stars. The color of the sextant is the same as the traditional color of the Lamat star hieroglyph, yellow or golden. This shows that the captain holds the star within his hands. He uses it as a tool which relays information back to him, and usually sextants work by measuring astronomical objects, so planets and stars. In this case, we become the stars, us mortals. The sextant becomes an instrument to read our souls, and the captain will pick and choose who to work with depending on the brightness and pureness of our hearts. So he will use the sextant to see our true intentions, and we can't attempt to conceal them from him. The sextant also has another use. This is where the word seed comes into play. If the captain sees that spark of divinity within you, he will metaphysically plant a seed within your spirit by possessing you. This is exactly what happened to me back in 2007. I was experiencing blackouts where I would lose consciousness and lose time. I would pass out and go into what I would describe as a really intense form of soul travel. Whilst in that state, I would communicate with Lamat in his captain form, his humanoid form, and he told me that he had planted a seed within my spirit, but I had to water it. And if I didn't water it, it would die, and I would lose my connection to him. So by using his sextant, he can plant this seed. But what does that mean for the person who is receiving the seed? Lamat represents wild imagination, like completely untamed artistic ability. So when you receive the seed, you will notice a huge improvement within your creativity, your skills as an artist, and your ability to create something from nothing. People who have the Lamat seed within them are known as SIs, seeded individuals. I'm going to drop a mega bombshell right now. Do you know what famous artist had this seed? Guess. I want you to guess because as soon as I reveal it to you, you will say, oh my god, that's so fitting. Are you ready? David Bowie, known for his Starman song. He was paying tribute to the original Starman, Lamat. David Bowie even painted a yellow star, simply called Star, in 1996. The great Lamat had him good, believe me. Why do we call celebrities stars? He or she became a star overnight. You often hear that expression. And you also hear selling one's soul for stardom. You don't sell your soul to Lamat. He gifts you the seed. The most important element to mention here is the divine number 4. This is really the foundation to Lamatology, where it all begins. When I was having those blackouts, Lamat told me to start looking for the number 4 within nature and to look for it in my daily life. He said it has the most godlike properties. Here is what Lamatology teaches. The human heart has 4 chambers. Humans have 4 blood types. Humans have 4 limbs. Most mammals have 4 legs. Most insects have 4 wings. There are the 4 personality types of the sanguine, the melancholy, the choleric, and the phlegmatic. There are 4 seasons, 4 earthly directions. There are the 4 noble truths of Buddhism, the 4 celestial animals of Feng Shui, the 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, the 4 archangels in Islam. In chemistry, there are the 4 basic states of matter: solid, liquid, gas, and plasma. Even some of the most meaningful words in the English language have 4 letters: fear, love, hope, body, mind, soul, life. I think you get the point. Ladies and gentlemen, all of these things show the signature of Lamat. This is his way of leaving his mark on the world, to let those who have the seed know it is him calling the shots. When you go deep enough into any religion, even Christianity, you will see the same pattern again and again, because Lamat is the source of all sources. What did Jesus die on? A cross. A cross is an X. What does X mark? The spot. What does the spot hide? Treasure. What is the treasure in this case? Knowledge, information. How many sides do X's have? 4. Indeed, X does mark the spot. They also say the same thing about the mark of the beast, 666. If only they knew what it really meant. It all points towards the source, which is Lamat. So what is the importance of knowing all this? Well, there is an essential piece to the Lamat puzzle. If you recognize the number 4 as a divine number and you start looking for it in your daily life, Captain Lamat will in turn recognize you, and he will bestow upon you the Lamat seed. That is the spiritual pursuit of every Lamatologist, to live your life by the 4 and die by the 4, so that you will die and have the magical seed planted within you. The more mental energy you put into looking for it, the stronger your connection to Lamat will be. Now, you do not have to abandon your already existing faith, religion, or practice in order to become a Lamatologist. Lamatology makes for a great add-on, a great enhancement to whatever religion you have, because you may not realize it, but every belief has that Lamat essence within it because of the number 4. The shape that Lamatologists recognize as divine is the square, because the square is used to represent solidity and reality, and of course it has 4 sides. which is why when Lamat appears to people in dreams or in a ritual trance state, he will usually appear holding his sextant in one hand and a purple and orange cube in the other. Back to ODT for a second, Captain Lamat is also one of the protectors in the game of a magical orb known as the Green Pearl, which has profound healing qualities. My good buddy Sam Shadow pointed out to me that on the Kabbalah there is a green sphere known as Netzach. Among many things, it corresponds to creativity and art, just like the Lamat star, but most importantly, it is green and circular. In my opinion, this is paying homage to the Green Pearl. Just another example of Lamat making his presence known once again. Now, are you ready to have your mind blown? Venus isn't the only planet related to Lamat. What I'm going to tell you here will change the way you see this planet forever, and I guarantee you have never heard this before. Jupiter. The sigil for Jupiter looks like this. Notice the number 4 within it. Since Lamat is related to abundance, it is only natural that Jupiter will be involved. Here's the good part. On Jupiter there is a giant storm cloud known as the Great Red Spot. It's been there for around 350 years and it's a high-pressure storm. In other words, it's just one ginormous, incredibly powerful superstorm that continues to rage on. Or is it? Lamatologists believe that the Great Red Spot is actually a gateway into an alternative reality known as the plasma planes, a kind of Lamat afterlife where seeded individuals go after they are highly cultivated. This hidden realm is the home of artists, musicians, powerful sorcerers, and eccentric geniuses. The plasma planes is open to anyone who has the Lamat seed within them. Seeded individuals may come and go as they choose. Now take a good look at the Great Red Spot. What do you see? Or should I say, what do you see, Captain? Lamatologists believe that this storm is the eye of Captain Lamat, watching over his many seeded followers, making sure only the very best can enter the plasma planes. So what does this strange realm actually look like? Now, I've only visited a handful of times via soul travel, but to me it looks like a deep blue desert. There is a long river flowing through the middle of it, and there are dark blue Mayan temples scattered all around the area. There are bamboo forests along the outskirts full of small villages which are inhabited by many seeded individuals. It's a vast and expansive place, but it's very tranquil. Despite being in the center of a giant storm, the area is extremely quiet and calm. One day I will make a detailed video on my experiences on the plasma planes. Lamat's snake-like eye is seen all throughout pop culture, and people wrongly consider this the Illuminati eye, don't they? It isn't. It's the plasma planes. As I said before, Lamat oversees the entire universe from Jupiter. He views all from Jupiter, yet it is Venus where he sends out his light. The light from Venus contains his energy, which when exposed to skin causes intense feelings of spiritual divinity. The Mayans knew how important Lamat was to them. One of his correspondences is maize. Maize is corn, and that was very popular as a Mayan diet. But for the Mayans, Lamat wasn't just a star, he was also a provider. He provided them with abundant harvests, nutrient-rich foods, and plenty to eat. The Mayan civilization was the first and last people to openly worship Lamat. No other people have officially recognized him for who he is. And I know what you're thinking. If Lamat is so prevalent and important to the very fundamentals of all life, how come nobody has really heard of him outside of the inner circles? Now, the best way to answer is like this. Do you know when people say politicians, presidents, and prime ministers are not in control? It's the banks who are in control. Okay. So who controls the banks? Then you'll often hear the incorrect and cliche answer of the bloodline families, such as the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds. Okay, so who controls them? The shadow elite. Who controls them? Another shadow elite. Eventually, if you go deep enough into it, The rabbit hole. Yes, that's intentional, very much so. The answer is basically we don't know. The richest and most powerful are the people you have never heard of. The ones who are really pulling the strings are totally hidden. The same applies here. The true powers of the universe, the true driving force of everything that exists, is buried under so many layers that people just cannot see it. Most people don't have the patience to dig through all of the dirt, but eventually, if you're like me, if you keep digging and digging, you will strike gold, and that gold is Lamat. Do you know what the personality types of Lamat people are? Well, according to the Mayan horoscope, their positive traits are successful, intelligent, fortunate, wealthy by nature and circumstance, hard workers, direct, responsible, patient, intuitive, emotional, and harmonious. Their careers tend to be counselors, administrators, agriculturists, philosophers, doctors, mathematicians, musicians, writers, traders, midwives, spiritual leaders, defenders of peace, you name it. Those born with a Lamat zodiac sign are really the healers and the leaders of the world. So how would a non-Lamatologist attempt communication with Lamat? There is one such magical method of reaching out to him, and I would say to any of my practitioners, my occult practitioners watching, I would advise that you attempt this. Make sure your altar table is facing south, that's Lamat's direction, and he really loves the colors of orange and purple. Those are power colors. Dress yourself in orange and purple clothes, put a Lamat star headband on, find yourself an orange and purple candle, draw out the Lamat star in yellow on a piece of paper, and place it in the middle of the two candles. Light some red sandalwood incense in the four corners of your altar, and place a golden or yellow sextant in front of the Lamat star. On the right of your altar should be a green crystal ball, which represents the green pearl. On your left should be a framed picture of Captain Lamat. You'll need this in order to communicate. The crystal or stone associated with Lamat is hematite, has a strong relation to blood. Remember the 4 blood types. After you have set up your altar, then you can go into a state of flow and visualize your soul leaving your body, entering into space and going towards Venus. After that, you should make contact. Now, my friend Bless Parko made a video on Lamat, and she said that when working with him via magic, it feels like she was working with the universe itself, and you'll know that feeling when you get it. What does the Lamat seed do for you? Well, look at what it's done for me. I don't give a damn what people think of me. Now, I know people say that all of the time, but they're not wearing ancient Chinese robes, carrying feathered fans, and summoning storms. So you can tell it's actually coming from a person who is authentic, real non-conformity. The Lamat essence loves to destroy conformity. It awakens a dormant part of your own psyche. It's like a light being switched on in your soul, awakening the inner wild side, the higher version of yourself, which is so colorful and crazy, so wonderful and weird. That's what the seed does to you. Nonconformity is freedom, and going against the grain is exactly what Lamat represents. Lamat often likes to manifest as a rabbit here on the earthly plane. When you start allowing him into your life, one of the first synchronicities that you will see is lots of rabbits on a daily basis. Even if you live in a location where rabbits don't roam around, instead you'll see pictures of them, you'll see them on social media, you'll see commercials of them. In some form, you will see rabbits. Now, Lamat has an arch enemy. He has a nemesis, just like how Zhuge Liang has Sima Yi as his nemesis. Lamat is the Mayan god of death, Puch. Even in ODT, this is true. The main villain, the last boss of ODT, is Puch, and of course Captain Lamat is the main hero of the game. Puch is known as the god of death, disaster, and darkness. He rules over an underworld known as Metnol. He has the appearance of a rotting corpse with an exposed ribcage, and he's known to wear bells on his body and he has a terrible, terrible smell. Our Puch is always malevolent. He will attempt to take you away from Lamat. If you work with him, he will sway you from the seed, which is why I will say, do not ever attempt contact with our Puch. This disgusting god of death inhabits the planet Neptune in the Great Dark Spot. It is similar to the Great Red Spot of Jupiter, but instead of it being a gateway into paradise, it enters directly into the Mayan underworld. Now, I know some of the left-hand practitioners and some of the guys from the Bulk forums may think, oh, this is great, Lord Josh has just given me a new demon to work with. Now, there are some demons out there that you work with them, and they will give you something in return. It will actually benefit you in some way. Take it from me, I've been studying this for 11 years. Our Puch will give you nothing. He will destroy your life. Do not work with him. And I know people are going to bring this up in the comments. Whenever I make a video on Lamat and the Mayans, people will always leave comments saying things like, well, if the Mayans were so great, why did they all die out and disappear? And how come other civilizations didn't? Okay, from your point of view, from your perspective, they died out. Take it from me, they didn't die out. They ascended. Why didn't other people disappear, aside from the Mayans? Because those other civilizations didn't openly worship Venus or Lamat, like the Mayans did, which further explains why there are Mayan temples within the Great Red Spot. They ascended into the portal. They went beyond the flesh, and now they have become godlike, each and every one of them. When you gather a whole society and unite them under Lamat, Lamat will grant them eternity within the plasma planes. That's exactly where they went. This teaches us a valuable lesson as modern people. If we could create a kingdom or a country that recognizes the truth of Lamat, and collectively, if we could worship him, we ourselves would also ascend. It happened back then, it could happen today. That is one of my goals with establishing Lamatopia. It's not just about escaping the rat race or nonconformity. Don't get me wrong, those things matter. But at the end of the day, it's about ascension. But I do have an assignment for all of you. I say I when it's really directly from Lamat, and I'm just a messenger. You can start making incredible changes today right now. Look for the number 4 in your daily life. Invite the star into your life and don't wait too long, because the older you get, for whatever reason, I haven't quite figured this out, the older you get, the more you lose your spark, the more conditioned and programmed you become, and the harder it is to receive the seed. And I'm sure many of you out there would have heard of the infamous Mayan heart removal rituals. This is what really pisses me off. A lot of New Agers will attempt to say that the Mayans never did anything like that they were peace-loving people and they didn't practice human sacrifice. Well, of course they did. Human sacrifice is depicted within a lot of the old hieroglyphs. Why do you think they did it by extracting the heart? Because the human heart is the ultimate symbol of the 4, because of the 4 chambers. This is further backed by evidence that shows that Mayanist shamans practiced these rituals, and they would tie someone up, tie them up and hold the 4 limbs of the person being sacrificed, and 4 specially selected priests would each hold a rope. And the 4 assistants of the priests would represent the 4 Choks. Who are the 4 Choks? Mayan weather gods. So you see how it all ties in with Lamat because of the holiness, the sacredness around Venus and the number 4. I hope you have found this video informative. Now you understand why Lamat is so important to me. Before I let you go though, I'm going to arm you with some excellent books to read on Mayan mythology. I want my viewers to study Lamat for themselves. Draw your own conclusions. The first book you should get is one of my all-time favorites, Mayan Oracle, The Galactic Language of Light. It's on Amazon. It's reasonably priced in my opinion. And what's so wonderful about this book is you get 44 colored cards of the Mayan zodiacs, and of course the Lamat star has its own card, and you can use that for meditation and rituals. The second book, called Mayan Calendar, Astrology, Mapping Your Inner Cosmos. This one will enable you to understand the power of Mayan astrology, certainly a unique method of divination. And finally, I do not want anyone to misunderstand the purpose of this video. The Lamat is something that you can find for yourself. You do not need teachers, you do not need leaders or icons. You need to be in sync with yourself. You don't even need me. You especially don't need me to hold your hand and teach you everything. You need to be independent, and you shouldn't rely on others to make you feel spiritually awakened. I don't have all of the answers. I have some of them, and you will have some of them also, because we are all puzzle pieces to the Lamat picture. But don't ever think, oh, I'll just listen to Lord Josh because he will explain everything, and I'll just trust him. No, trust yourself. Trust your own gut instinct. I received the Lamat consciousness at a very young age. It was a very chaotic time, and I was ignorant and naive, a very confusing time for me. But I never once asked anyone to walk my path for me. I understood even back then. My path is mine and mine alone. Sometimes our paths may cross, but they should never become one. Not to sound arrogant or conceited, but the reason why I am so good now as a magician and a decipherer of symbols is down to the resourcefulness of my past. I had nobody to ask, so I had to be creative. I had to figure things out on my own. And because of that, I developed a great skills in learning how to decode symbolism. I didn't run to someone and say to them, decipher this for me. What does this mean? And I don't mind doing that for people, but I get the feeling that it's not helping them really because they're not discovering it for themselves. So when you message in, try to refrain from messaging. Try to. And only message if you absolutely have to. I want you to figure it out because really it's none of my business. Your relationship with Lamat is your business. It's your journey, and my journey is mine. So let's try to work together when we have to, but ultimately, these journeys are so personal and so unique, they are completely bespoke and tailor-made to the individual. So thanks for watching, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you soon.